married, had kids, found myself, which is very surprising, and this has happened to women. I've just called myself a survivor now. And I did try, very difficult to try to get out. I was just a stupid housewife. That's pretty sad because I am not that. If you look at my LinkedIn profile and my resume, I am not that. So yeah, I had to work on reprogramming myself. If I keep going at what I truly believe in, especially in my life, in my company, I can't be a failure because I'm learning, and I just got to keep going and opportunities will come my way. And basically I felt like I'm back to me now, but only more stronger, more fierce.
Anitha, I am so excited to have you on the show because based on what I know, you are a woman that had a journey ahead of her and you went through this thing called life. Not just life, but also in business. And I can't wait for you to share your story with us and have this conversation with you. So if you may, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Anitha Beberg, and I am the CEO and founder of Seva Exchange. And Seva means selfless service in Sanskrit. So I built a CRM platform for community-minded organizations, such as nonprofits, but it could be any organization focused on uplifting their community. And I like to call it like a non-toxic social media platform with a higher purpose. So we match community members with their needs with the available resources, as well as allow members to offer help back to their community any way they can. And we don't give anyone excuses not to help. So
That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and welcome to the show. That being said, I know that one of the first things that I want to talk about is your journey really quick and going through those phases that you went through. However you want to tell the story and wherever you want to start with entrepreneurship and the life journey. The floor is yours, and I can't wait to hear it from you.
okay. Well, I can start a little bit about my background in terms, I was in software project management, product management for years. I got married, had kids, found myself, which is very surprising, and this has happened to women. We're not the type of women that you'd think would be domestic violence victims. I hate that word. I've just called myself a survivor now because we have everything. We are privileged. We are privileged people. So by the time I realized that I was in a situation, I already had at least one kid. I already had one. And I did try, very difficult to try to get out. However, it's a process, it takes time, just like it took time to build up things in my own life. Like I was quite successful in my business. I'd worked at big tech companies, and all of that was a pretty good confidence because I had done it. Well, all that time in that marriage, it took time to, what is it? The opposite, to build down my confidence to the point where I thought I was nothing. I was just a stupid housewife. I mean, that's pretty sad because I am not that. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, my resume, I am not that. So yeah, I had to work on reprogramming myself. Basically, I felt like I'm back to me now, but only more stronger, more fierce. And I will not take no for an answer because no in my head is next opportunity. I know that if I keep going at what I truly believe in, especially in my life, in my company, I can't be a failure because I'm learning, and I just got to keep going and opportunities will come my way. And that's how it works for people who are a success. You hear about them. They always make it sound like an overnight success, but you don't know that it probably took them 5 to 10 years, even before that name came out. So knowing all of that, yeah, sorry to get a little too deep, but this is real. This is reality.
I don't think it's ever deep. This is how we connect the dots to the people that are listening, and the women that are listening to this conversation could get inspired from your story. So I'm glad that you're sharing that. And thank you for sharing that and being open and being willing to share that story. It's not easy to share these stories, but thank you. Well, in that journey of your story, what has made you just continue going forward? You know, what was that thing? What was that voice? Was it a voice? Was it a mentor? Was it a book? Was it a podcast? What was it that made you go through those challenges?
Okay, I don't want to get into religion. However, I was angry when my life came crumbling down. I found out, my spouse, who I was in that horrible relationship with, but our culture and the culture I grew up in, women have to suck it up. You have children, whatever you deal with, you deal with. That's what I've been told, even when I tried to get out in my own community. That's how it was. But then I found out that this person had been unfaithful to me also on top of all of that, which I was shocked. So I was mad. I was very angry. And I'm like, what did I do in this world to deserve this, God? I asked the question, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't actually matter. And I got my answer in a dream. And this is no kidding. Yeshua or Jesus or whatever you like it came in my dream. And mind you, I grew up Hindu, did not grow up Christian. And he came in the first night, he came in my dream and he told me our soul's purpose is to love one another, but love ourselves, because I think that's a problem for many, many people. We don't even focus on that. We think, oh, we can't do that. That's arrogant. No, we need to start with loving ourselves, liking who we are, and then just bring that out and give everyone love. And the next night he came in my dream again. And he said, our life's purpose, he told me, it was one word, is to shine. It's to shine our light, shine our gifts. And that's it. Like, that's how simple it is, And I mean, that changed my life, because now I focus on the gifts that God gave me. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter. I do that on the side, but I sing all the time. I perform now. That was something that had been kept down because I was told he didn't like my voice. And I knew that wasn't true, because I had been performing for 2 decades before I met the guy. So I decided, well, if I'm supposed to shine my light, let's figure out all my gifts. And I realized that I can go back to my old self, what I was before, and look at all the things that made me happy and brought me joy. And singing was one, but also I always wanted to be a successful entrepreneur. But now with the experience, my life experience, I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to the world and help other people and connect them. Because when I needed help, I had to be silent and, suffer in through shame or looking weak or pride or whatever we had to suffer in silence. And I really believe that Seva Exchange is a way that people can go about asking for help without feeling any of those things, because it's expected of you on that platform. It's also expected on that platform for you to shine your light, is to give the gifts you have back to the community. Maybe for me, I can give a singing lesson, a music lesson for free, because I just love doing it. It's already my passion, right? And I can give it to someone who maybe can't afford it or just wants to find someone who could just investigate and learn about it. And then someone else can, well, I need help. What do I need help currently? I need someone to organize my garage. Okay. Well, someone who really loves to organize might be happy to do that. I could not stand that job, but that's their way of shining light, because they're really organized people. They know how to make systems and all that stuff, right? I just make piles, which is not a system. So that's an example.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Going back to before we go into the details of the company, I want to take a step back and talk about the challenges and the phases that you went through your journey, the business side of things. What were the transitions? So if you could take us back and tell me the transition of each journey
Sure.
and how did that get you to where you're at today?
Okay. Well, I had been in software previously and in project management, but being I ended up becoming a stay-at-home mom, right, for a long time. And I did a lot of volunteering for the kids' school. And I learned from other people that volunteering meant it was really a detriment to our careers. It was like a torpedo downwards to our careers. And I thought to myself, that's ridiculous. Volunteering should be a way to, boost our careers, because we figure out what our passions are. And so that was a change that I thought that we needed to change, because that was something that prevented me, I felt in my brain, how am I supposed to put in this many hours at the school because I was expected to, it was a parent participation school, and still have this amazing career. So, I mean, who knows, it could be called serendipity, but I ended up meeting someone and learning about a concept called time banking. And time banking essentially is within a community of people, people ask for help and someone else will help them out. And every hour that person who serves their community, they get something called a time credit, which then is redeemable for help for themselves. So amazingly enough, once I heard about this concept, I actually got connected with the founder of time banking. His name was Dr. Edgar Kahn, and I helped out in his nonprofit, timebanks.org, for a little while. And then he asked me on his 83rd birthday, March 23rd, it's also International Time Banking Day. He asked me to essentially start this journey with him to mainstream the movement, but I realized by doing all these research and interviews of communities around the world that it's not just time banking. We can't do the same thing he had already done for 25 years. We needed to make it where communities can get the help to uplift themselves in every way, not just in volunteering. So you can lend stuff on our platform. You can ask to borrow things. You can fundraise on the platform. So communities, it's just essentially a matching tool, you know. So that's what I changed in that. And before he passed away, he did pass away a year and a half ago, a little less than a year and a half. He was in awe of what I built. And, you know, this is my mentor. This is somebody I looked up to. He worked for President Johnson. He was a speechwriter for Robert F. Kennedy. He was a civil rights leader in the 60s. So, and for the rest of his life, actually. So,
And
yeah.
for the listeners to listen, there's a whole video that is about an hour on the website. You and I think him with the whole story about that. So if anyone wants to listen to that, where can they find that interview again?
It's on our website, sevaexchange.com.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So that is awesome. I love that. So transitioning into that.
Yeah, well, that's how, so the whole idea of time banking, I was like, you know what, when I heard about this, I was so confused, and people kept connecting and asking about, they always thought time banking was like a finance company, like what is that? So I actually asked Edgar, I was like, why in the world did you come up with this and where? And he's like, hey, I was being interviewed on TV and they asked me and I had to come up with something. So I said time dollars, like it was just something that blurred out of my head. So his wife and I and him, all of us worked on this initially. And then I came up with the word Seva Exchange because I had been part of something called Art of Living. And I was trying to describe time banking to someone there. And they're like, so you're building like a Seva app. And Seva means, like I said, selfless service. And I'm like, yeah, I like that name. So let's change time banking to Seva Exchange or exchanging Seva. So that's how we got the Seva X app. Before there was an X and before there was like a meta, we were Seva, Seva X.
Okay, I love that. That's a good story. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a good journey. That's awesome. And tell us about, you know, as you're going through this journey, what is exciting? What are you trying to do with the company? Yeah, please.
Well, so after I started working with Edgar, I actually got connected because I ended up being on an advisory board to a company that another man that you may have heard of, his name was Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
He ran for president. So he wrote in his book about time banking and Edgar and all that stuff as one of the solutions for America. And sure enough, like our thoughts like aligned. I had written a blog about how the world not only needs time banking, but also universal basic income. And he's talking about universal basic income and time banking. So yeah, so we aligned and I actually built an app for him for his campaign called the Humanity First app. It was for his Yang Gang. Essentially, it was like an MVP of our app, but it was a great way to try it out and see if people liked it. And they did. And we were, he actually got me on NPR on Freakonomics Radio and talked about me. Yeah, so he was like my PR guy.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what's the future look like for the company?
Sky's the limit. I I am trying to get our app right now throughout universities because young people have a lot to offer their communities, but they also need help. So we want to start, I'm actually working with some universities in India. I also did a test with, what do you call it, proof of concept with Dartmouth. It was their hospital that reached out to me on Twitter. They're like, hey, we like this concept on Humanity First. Do you think you could build something like that? I'm like, already working on it. So they were our first like test subjects. But yeah, we know that the more people know about this, that we've built they're private communities where you can share and be vulnerable of what you need and not worry that it's going to be, distributed throughout the world to all your advertisers. We want to keep the data private, and we want people to be able to ask for help and offer help. It's important that, as I mentioned, the world is there's so much abundance in this world, but it's distributed horribly and unevenly. And I'm trying to help, especially marginalized communities, get a leg up, right? Not everyone is born with a trust fund, but this is sort of an insurance policy by being part of a community where you can ask for help whenever you're in need. And you can accumulate those credits that you put in by helping others. You can use it for yourself. You can use it to donate to someone else. So every hour you serve, you get another hour credit, right, for yourself. So you're doubling your volunteer impact.
Okay, that is really cool. And the problem that the software solves, if you could share with people the main problems that it solves, what would you say it would be?
It's essentially a combination of a whole bunch of tools that people already use, like a messaging app. It's creating events. Again, asking for help. It's a social media platform. You can share things on the platform. In fact, if you let me share my screen, I
Yes,
can
go
just
for it.
show you what it looks like.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's a lot
You can
easier
share
to
it.
do that.
100%, please.
Okay, let me open that. There we go. Okay, so this is just a demo site called Sampletown. I mentioned here, it's like a social media platform. It's also a messaging app. And then the meat of the application really is you can request help. And there's two types of ways to request help. If you're just a member, you can ask for time, someone's time or service, or you can ask to borrow a space, a place, or an item. And then if you're an admin for that community, you can do more things. You can ask, again, same service, but you can also ask for goods. You can fundraise, same thing, borrow, but you can also use it as a way to give credits. Let's say if you want to put on a webinar that maybe people wouldn't necessarily want to come to. This example here is implicit bias webinar. An organization can say, hey, we'll give you an hour Seva credit for coming to this webinar during lunch, and we'll even throw in a sandwich. So come to this. So those are all the types of things you can make a request for. And one too many really means I'm asking making a request, me, one person, for many. That's really where we came up with that concept. And then offer, I told you, we don't give anyone an excuse to give back to their community. That's why there's no admin type one and a personal one. Anyone can offer their time, service. Anyone can offer money. And when I say money, this is not GoFundMe. This is like causes that they would part their money for. So it's more like a pledge. So they will get matched to the causes. Let's say a literacy campaign. I'm willing to give $50 to a literacy campaign, and a literacy campaign may show up in like 100 different places in the world, but I can select the ones that I want to give
You
to.
want okay, got you.
Yeah. And then same with goods. This is great for moms, by the way, when our kids just outgrow their clothes even before, especially with girls, teenagers, they have tags on there and they've already outgrown it. But yeah, people can essentially offer stuff, clean out their closets and offer things, and then people can accept that offer. So it's beyond time banking. Like I said, we wanted to start with the base of giving an hour and getting an hour, but now it's like give back as any way you can, right? And I mentioned before, you can offer to lend a space or an item. This is essentially like Airbnb. If let's say I have an Airbnb and it's a cabin on the lake somewhere. How about one weekend somebody cancels on me last minute and I'm I don't have time to find someone else. I'm just going to put it on the app. Hey, I'm offering a cabin for the weekend to my awesome community. And is it a standing offer or one time? In this case, it's one time. And I'll create an agreement of the things people need to abide by. And they have to agree because this is free. So they'd still have to abide by whatever rules I set to
Mm.
have a cabin on the lake, let's say. An item, like an example, what I could offer back to the community. I have a lawnmower, but I also have a gardener, so it just sits in the garage. So I can offer this item to anyone if maybe somebody just broke their lawnmower and they can't afford to buy one. So they're asking to borrow one. So is this a standing offer or one time? This one would be a standing offer. It's always there. It's always sitting in my garage. And if someone's using it, they'll go on a waiting list if someone else wants it. And same thing, I can create an agreement for it of whatever, clean it up. Don't have
How many users do you guys have so far?
We have 220 communities that were created all over the world, and we have it in 10 languages. So, like I said, these are private communities, so it may not be obvious to people
Yeah,
unless you're part of the community.
that is cool.
But yeah, you can create groups here just like Facebook and create events, except in our thing of creating events, it's more like, what do you need to make that event successful, right? It's not just posting it and having people know about it, but it's like, well, I need volunteers. I need a space to host my event. I need a PA system. And not only I need, let's say 100 volunteers, 10 of them with this skill, 5 with this skill, 3 with this skill. And I can break each of my requests to go for that particular event. I can also add my sponsors, the logo, when the event is, if it's repeating.
Very cool.
We don't care if you want to use Eventbrite or whatever registration link. You put in all of that and the contact email and where it is, or if it's a virtual one, and make it public. And this is where it goes outside of your community to the entire world. So we do allow events to go public. Right now, other things that are requests and offers for protection and privacy and security, we only allow virtual offers to be made public outside your community for obvious reasons. If I need someone to pick up my kid from school because I'm going to be 10 minutes late and, they charge per minute, whatever it is, I can put that, but we don't want you to post that globally, right? You want it to be within your trusted community of people.
Totally.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This is really cool. And what's is it, so someone to create an account, how do they, if you wanted to create an account, how could they create an account?
Okay. Give me one more sec. I'll share that
It's
too.
really important to show them how to create an account.
Yeah.
And
So
whoever's listening to this, if this is on the Spotify, you could watch the video version on YouTube, FYI. We're showcasing this and how to do this, but you could look at my
right
YouTube.
here, sevaxapp.com. So sevaexchange.com is our company website, but our app is sevaxapp.com.
That is
You
awesome.
can go here to download the iOS version, download Android, or register on the web. If you are a community creator, you want to be the owner, you would have to do it on the web first because all the payment gateway we removed everything from the mobile and put it on the web for obvious reasons. So yeah, it tells you right here. We even have like a little cute 1 minute, not 1 hour, 1 minute explainer video of all that you can do. And yeah, it's amazing. Back to that dream about, we should all love one another. We have to serve one another, have gratitude always. But the other part was to shine. So shine your gifts and help others, right? And then someone else can do the same and you can get your help.
That is
So it's
awesome.
full circle.
That's so cool. That is so cool, Anitha. And
Yeah.
how could the community or whoever's listening to this, support your journey? Because we talked about a couple things. How could someone support you? Who are you looking for to be connected with? Or for this story, this journey that you have been on this podcast or show, how can people support you?
Well, we are looking for impact investors. I have bootstrapped all of this. I had to put a pause for a little bit. We are always looking for teammates who want to join this. This is going to be everyone says this, but it's revolutionary and groundbreaking. The world needs this the most right now because there is always suffering in the world, but there's a lot of suffering right now. And we need to make a change. in this world. And the more people who create their communities, add their communities. This isn't going to work if it's one person and it's a one-person community. Okay, you're not going to get the help you need. You need to bring your community, and it's private. You can bring your family and friends and make it a completely private community where nobody even knows, they can't even find you on this. If you're a private community, I mean, everyone's private, but I mean, like, there's two types of private. It's automatically a private community, but if you want to, we have a plan for family and friends where, for safety's sake, no one can search you up. You invite the people with the code. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that. That is really, really cool. I'm excited to actually take a look at it and get to know more and how it's used from different communities out there. Yeah, this is awesome. There was a question I wanted to ask you, but now it went away. Hopefully it comes back here in a second.
Move around. It always helps me.
This is really cool. I love what you're creating. And you talked about the story, you talked about the company, talked about the funding side of things. Yes, that was the question.
Hmm.
The question was, how did you get 200 how did you do that? Like, was that some sort of marketing? Was it word of mouth?
Essentially, I mean, we piggybacked off of the first app we built, Humanity
Okay.
First. And I did do quite a few podcast interviews, and NPR helped. That was a big one, right? That was global. So I got lucky. I got lucky, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah, but now, and unfortunately, a lot of that stuff happened before the app was built, right? We need that now because the app is completely built. But
that
it was
is
a great
awesome.
validation, though. Think about it. So many people take that risk. Hey, I think it's great. If I build it, they will come, but they don't have that like validation. Yeah, we really need this, right? So I heard from communities around the world saying, we need this. This is amazing. Where can I sign up? I'm like, oh, we haven't built it yet, sir. But come
That's
back in a
awesome.
couple years. And then the pandemic hit. It was fun.
That's really, really cool. I love your story and I can't wait to share it with a few people after it's edited. But one of the things I really wanted to get to know more about you as, we wrap up here, looking towards the future, what kind of legacy do you aspire to create through your work? And how do you plan to inspire and empower the next generations of people or entrepreneurs?
I would say resilience. If people think of me, I've always been a kind person and always giving. That is, I mean, not investors have said you look like a walking nonprofit. So I think I'm already thought of that. However, I want to show the world that you can build something that seems like a walking nonprofit, but actually make a profit from it in an ethical way without stealing people's data. So hopefully that's where I would be known for, besides helping communities uplift each other throughout the world.
Absolutely. I am going to now shoot some fire questions. Like, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna do that, and just whatever you could come up with, you can come up with. You ready? Okay. Coffee or tea in the morning?
Tea.
One book that has really influenced your life.
A recent one, I would say The Next Door CEO. The CEO
Okay.
Next. I have it on my bookshelf. I don't know.
Love
Oh yeah,
it.
CEO Next Door. I can grab it really quick. Awesome book for entrepreneurs.
I loved it. Who is it by?
It is by Elena Botello and Kim Powell.
Awesome.
Women entrepreneurs. Yeah.
The most challenging aspect of entrepreneurship.
It's a lonely journey. So make a community of your own of friends. And I have that. I have probably 100 women entrepreneurs that I can reach out either on LinkedIn or phone call. Some of them are local, some of them are in different countries. But we built our own like support group during the pandemic, and we became so much closer that I actually, this is just a side note, sorry for going off. I was tasked to create a, what do you call it? International Happiness Day. Essentially, I got sucked into doing it because I always say yes to everything. I have to work on that to say no. That's okay. But I called up all my girlfriends, and you know what they told me? They're like, I was busy at that moment, but when I see your phone number show up, I pick up. I always pick up. And I've been told that by so many people. And that means a lot to me, that I don't waste people's time. They know that if I call for a reason and they pick up. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And what is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Sleep, sleep. I go on walks. I walk every day, 3 to 4 miles. It's a meditative thing. It's physical, emotional, spiritual, everything. So I cannot go without my walks. My kids know that if mommy has not gone on a walk, she's cranky. And my kids themselves will say, you need to go on a walk. Can you go on a walk? And then they go back to playing video games or whatever. I think it's an excuse to get me out of the house, but no, they know I need it, and it's been very healing for me. Yeah.
One piece of technology you can't live without.
iPhone. What else?
Are
That's it.
you an
Yeah.
are you an early bird or a night owl when it comes to productivity?
Completely an early bird. I wake up at 4 in the morning. I don't want to wake up at 4, but my brain wakes up at 4.
The one habit that has contributed you to your success.
I don't give up. I'm stubborn. I
The,
know that to fail is to quit is to fail. And I refuse to quit. So I'm not a failure.
I love that. A destination on your travel bucket list.
Israel, but when it's safer,
Okay.
and probably Morocco. Yeah.
The best piece of advice you ever received.
I've received a lot of advice. Probably believe in yourself. Yeah.
One skill you wish you could master overnight.
Coding.
What's one trend you're in your industry you're excited about?
Obviously, everyone's saying it. Generative AI. And we did win an award for AI for social good. So I would like to, yeah, that's a trend that I've hopped on, and I want to use our platform to show that these are all the wonderful positive things we can get from AI.
That is awesome. That is really cool. A hobby you have picked up or wish to pick up.
Ooh. I used to play violin, and I haven't played it in years. I was in the symphony. I'd like to actually pick it up again. Yeah.
Okay, let's go. That's awesome. One of my favorite questions. If you could have dinner with an entrepreneur that is maybe dead or alive, who would it be? It could be an entrepreneur, it could be a leader, it could be whoever.
I might have an opportunity to meet this entrepreneur soon in October. His name is Richard Branson.
Oh, that is awesome. I just seen him speak just a couple weeks ago in Vegas when I was at the TNC event.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is awesome. What's the most important thing about business for you?
For me, it's being an ethical business person. Too many people feel that when you're in business, you got to do whatever it takes, cut corners. I do not believe in that. I think that as a business person, obviously you have to sell things that people want, but you can do it ethically.
Awesome. I love that. Anitha,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your openness. I appreciate your willingness to share your story so that others get inspired and driven by something from this conversation today. And thank you so much for being a part of the podcast and show. I appreciate your time. And where can people find you?
You can find me lots of places. LinkedIn, Anitha Beberg. You can go to Seva Exchange on LinkedIn, connect with our company. I've got my own X profile. It's FWD Humanity, Forward Humanity. And yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a social media person other than for my company. So if you want to personally connect with me, it's best to do it on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it was a good time having this conversation with you. Thank you so much. Any last words you want to share to the listeners before we end the podcast?
Yes, I want to encourage people to never give up. Doesn't matter who you're around who say, nah, it can't happen. Get new friends. Just stay away from negativity and never give up.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Anitha. Appreciate you. That brings us to a close of another episode on the Hassan Bash Show. Thank you for dedicating time to your growth and progress with us today. Each episode is a step toward not just reaching, but exceeding your potential. To ensure you never miss out on another episode or these insights, subscribe to the podcast. For a deeper dive and exclusive content that furthers your journey, sign up for our newsletter at hassanbash.com. That's HassanBash.com. And for a continuous flow of inspiration, make sure to follow us across our socials. Your support through sharing our podcast can inspire and empower others in their journey of progress. So let's build a community of growth together. Until our paths cross again, remember every day is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and move forward. Stay curious, stay inspired, and above all, keep progressing. I'm Hassan signing off. Here's to your journey of endless growth.